I'm Jeff Allen Wolf, and this is A World Gone Mad. When it comes to standing up for democracy, I'm not backing down. Here we go. Hackers have reportedly breached tank monitoring systems tied to gas stations here in the United States. And officials now suspect Iran may be behind it. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, that sounds comforting, congratulations, you still possess basic survival instincts. And because apparently in 2026, the phrase foreign hackers inside American fuel systems barely even causes people to look up from their DoorDash order anymore. Now, to be clear, officials are saying these were breaches involving fuel tank readers and monitoring systems, not necessarily gas pumps exploding like we're in some Michael Bay movie. But still, the fact that hostile actors may be poking around inside American infrastructure should concern every single person listening right now. And here's the part that drives me insane. We've been warned about this stuff for years. Cybersecurity experts, the FBI, intelligence agencies, they've all been screaming into the void saying America's infrastructure is vulnerable. Water systems, energy grids, pipelines, transportation, hospitals. You name it. And every year, politicians nod dramatically during hearings like they're starring in a Netflix thriller. And then everybody goes back to arguing about pronouns on Twitter for 6 months. Meanwhile, the hackers are apparently sitting there like, hey, Mohammed, wanna mess with Ohio's gas stations today? Sure, after lunch. And this isn't happening in a vacuum. Iran itself has been hit repeatedly by major cyber attacks targeting gas stations, rail systems, and industrial infrastructure over the last few years. Entire fuel networks in Iran have literally been knocked offline before. So now we're in this absurd modern reality where countries don't even have to launch missiles immediately. They can just digitally sneak into infrastructure systems and create chaos from a laptop thousands of miles away. That's the future now. Not flying cars, not jetpacks, not Star Trek. No, it's, sorry, honey, the gas station's down because somebody in another hemisphere hacked a fuel sensor. And the scariest part? Most Americans still have absolutely no idea how fragile modern civilization really is. People think society collapses with explosions and mushroom clouds. Sometimes it starts with a blinking error message on a gas pump near you. There's a new trend happening among some billionaires right now that honestly feels like the plot twist nobody expected in America. Some wealthy people are now publicly telling other wealthy people, would you people just shut up and pay your taxes already? And honestly, that may be the most shocking sentence uttered in modern capitalism since somebody at a hedge fund said, you know what? Maybe greed's bad. Now, why is this happening? Because even some rich people are starting to realize the system's getting so absurdly tilted that average Americans are reaching the point where they can't afford groceries, rent, healthcare, insurance, or apparently eggs guarded by armed security forces at this point. And when regular people start feeling hopeless long enough, historically things tend to get ugly. That's the part some billionaires understand very clearly. They're looking around going, hey, maybe having 3 guys own more wealth than half the country while everybody else fights over expired Lunchables isn't a sustainable civilization model. And the crazy part is, they're not entirely wrong. Income inequality in America has exploded over the last several decades. CEO pay has skyrocketed, while many workers have barely kept up with inflation. Housing costs are insane. Health care costs are insane. College costs are insane. And meanwhile, giant corporations still find loopholes allowing them to pay shockingly little in taxes compared to ordinary working people. So now you've got this bizarre civil war inside the wealthy class itself. One side's basically screaming, "Taxes are tyranny! Leave us alone!" And the other side's quietly standing in the corner like, "Guys, maybe stop buying your fourth yacht for 5 minutes before people bring out the guillotines." And let me be clear before people lose their minds. Nobody's saying success is evil. Nobody. Nobody's saying people shouldn't become wealthy. Most Americans actually admire success. What people are angry about is feeling like the game itself is rigged now. That no matter how hard they work, they can't get ahead while corporations report record profits. CEOs collect bonuses the size of small nations. And politicians somehow always manage to protect the people already sitting on top of the mountain. And honestly, this whole debate exposes something deeper about America right now. People don't mind wealth nearly as much as they mind unfairness. There's a difference. Americans can tolerate somebody becoming rich. What they can't tolerate forever is feeling like they've been turned into economic background characters in their own country. There's a political irony happening right now that honestly feels almost too perfect for satire. A lot of the exact same warning signs that Democrats were panicking about with Joe Biden in 2024 are now surrounding Donald Trump in 2026. Weak poll numbers, concerns about energy and focus during public appearances, growing voter frustration over inflation and rising costs, anxiety over overseas conflicts affecting the economy and gas prices. Only now, it's Trump dealing with it. And according to several recent polls, the numbers aren't great. The latest Economist YouGov polling shows Trump sitting around 36% approval with roughly 58% disapproval, putting Trump's net approval around -22. That's basically hovering around the same territory Biden hit during some of the worst periods of his presidency. And here's where things get politically fascinating. When Biden's numbers collapsed, Democrats basically staged a political intervention. The panic alarms went off, cable news melted down. Party insiders started whispering like it was a mob movie. "Joe, maybe it's time." But with Trump, Republicans are mostly standing by him publicly, even while some strategists are privately freaking out about what these numbers could mean heading into the midterms. And inflation's a huge part of it. Polling right now shows voters are deeply unhappy about prices, gas costs, groceries, and the economy overall. That frustration keeps showing up over and over again across multiple national surveys. And politically, that's dangerous because inflation hits people emotionally every single day. You feel it when you buy groceries. You feel it paying rent. You feel it at the gas pump. You feel it opening insurance bills that now look like ransom notes from organized crime. And that's the thing presidents eventually learn, whether they're Democrat or Republican. People can tolerate scandals. People can tolerate chaos. People can tolerate politicians screaming at each other on television like raccoons fighting in a dumpster behind a Waffle House. But when people feel financially squeezed nonstop, eventually they stop caring whose fault it technically is. They just want somebody to blame. And historically, that blame almost always lands on whoever's sitting in the Oval Office at the time. Honestly, the wildest part to all this unfold, when we see this unfolding, is seeing both political parties completely switch scripts in real time. The people who screamed that polling was everything suddenly say polling doesn't matter anymore. The people who said voters were overreacting to inflation suddenly act like the economy's collapsing into a Mad Max movie. Washington's basically becoming one giant hypocrisy machine powered by cable news, caffeine, and selective memory. And finally, there's a news story making headlines right now saying science shows you can reverse much of the damage alcohol has done to your body if you stop drinking or seriously cut back. And honestly, that's probably the best public health news Americans have heard since somebody discovered vegetables don't actually taste terrible if you stop boiling them like it's 1954. Because for years, alcohol's had the weird, magical reputation in society. Cigarettes? Everybody knows they're bad. Meth? Pretty obvious. But alcohol somehow became the only drug on earth where people look at you suspiciously if you don't use it. Oh, you're not drinking tonight, Jeff? What are you, a federal agent? Meanwhile, alcohol's out there quietly wreaking havoc on the human body, like a tiny liquid demolition crew. And now researchers are basically coming out saying, yeah, turns out when you stop pouring poison into your organs every weekend, some of your organs actually appreciate it. Amazing breakthrough science there, right? But seriously, the newer research is actually fascinating because it's showing the body can recover more than people used to think if somebody stops drinking early enough and stays consistent. Scientists have found the liver especially has a remarkable ability to regenerate in many people. In some cases, fatty liver disease can improve within weeks or months after stopping alcohol. Blood pressure often improves. Sleep quality improves. Inflammation drops. Heart function can improve. Even parts of the brain appear capable of partial recovery over time after prolonged abstinence. Now, one study tracking brain recovery found measurable improvement in cortical thickness in many regions of the brain after months without alcohol. And here's the part that's really surprising researchers. Even some patients with advanced alcohol-related cirrhosis showed significant recovery when they completely stopped drinking. We're talking about people that doctors previously thought had irreversible liver damage. One major international study found about 1/3 of patients with severe alcohol-related cirrhosis experienced what researchers called recompensation, meaning liver complications actually regressed and liver function improved after sustained abstinence. Now, before someone out there listening cracks open a whiskey bottle screaming, "See, it reverses! Science says I'm Wolverine!" Slow down there, Captain Jack Daniels. The researchers are not saying alcohol damage magically disappears forever. Some damage absolutely can become permanent, especially after years of heavy drinking. Cirrhosis, neurological damage, certain cancers, pancreatitis. Some of that can stay with you permanently or shorten your life dramatically. And that's the uncomfortable part society still struggles talking about honestly. Alcohol's deeply normalized, even though medically it's linked to dozens of diseases and injuries, according to major health organizations. Now, at this point, alcohol's basically that toxic ex everybody keeps inviting back into their house because sometimes they're fun at parties. And look, I'm not sitting here pretending no one should ever drink again. That's not reality. Humans have been drinking for thousands of years, and most people listening probably enjoy it responsibly. But I do think society's relationship with alcohol is changing now because the science keeps getting harder to ignore. The old belief used to be, a little alcohol might actually be good for you. Now the newer research basically sounds more like, yeah, about that. And honestly, I think a lot of people are finally starting to realize there's a difference between I enjoy a drink sometimes and treating your liver like it owes you money. When it comes to drinking, you kind of have to find a happy medium, or maybe an extra large. I like to say to the Wolfpack, I've been sporadic with my episodes. I was doing new episodes 3 times a week normally, and then every now and then I skipped some episodes once a week. That's because I'm stressed out and dealing with a lot of personal things like everyone else. Hopefully very soon I'll get back to my normal 3 new episodes per week. If you do enjoy my podcast, if you think they are informative, and if you get a laugh or two every now and then please support the podcast through my GoFundMe. The link is in the description below the episode. And if you'd like to occasionally send me an email every now and then, I would love to hear from my regular Wolfpack listeners. wolfpacktalks@gmail.com. I'm getting emails from new listeners. Where are my regular Wolfpack listeners? I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. This is A World Gone Mad. I'll be back Monday. Until then, I urge you, the Wolfpack, remain skeptical, question everything. Please, don't lose hope. And most of all, stay alert.